All right, done. So now while we wait for the judges to finish the judging and come over, we will use this time to have a quick Q&A with Lex. And a lot of questions have been coming in already. So as the first question, I want to call upon Andrew to ask his question, please.
Sure, and thank you for the opportunity, Sanjeev, and thank you, Lex, for attending. I've probably misled everybody by my age, but I'm 19 years old. I was just wondering, as a 19-year-old university student, what's your advice? You know, you've already given us 6 points, which I appreciate, but more specifically for a 19-year-old, what would you advise me to take into account?
Well, I have a 25 and a 21-year-old, so I feel like, you know, I'm giving, my son never takes any of my advice, so maybe you'll be better for me. I mean, look, I think those things that I said are really important, but the other thing I think is important is as you embark on a career in, you know, a pretty unusual situation, by the way, don't be too deterred about your first job, right? I think it's really important, the company is important and making sure you have cultural alignment with that company. But, you know, the first job, get into the company, see what it's about, do the best you can at that job every single day, and then be willing to take some risks and take those jobs other people don't want to do to see if you can, you know, shine and go ahead. But I think don't be too concerned about the first job. You know, you can change careers many, many times these days. I think it's going to be 8 different career changes in life. But I think the company, the culture, the values is really important.
Thank you for that.
Thank you, Andrew, and thanks, Lex, for a wonderful tip there for all the youngsters. The next one is a question from Sindhu.
Thank you, Toastmaster. Hi, Lex. Very good to you. I have a question, right? And actually, this is a 2-part question. What I wanted to know is, when you mentioned you started your Toastmasters journey about 25 years ago. How does this help your leadership journey? And also, I mean, leadership at professional front and personal front? And the second part of the question is, what advice would you give the aspiring Toastmasters today to develop, what skills to develop in these interesting times?
Yeah, it's a good question, because someone once said to me, actually last year, their young child was asking them about skill sets and what should they do. And, you know, everyone will tell you should do math, science, engineering, etc. these days. He said, the one thing that we're always going to have to do as humans is communicate, because that's what differentiates us from many other things, right? The communication skills. And I think that is really important, being able to stand up and talk and confidence. But, you know, the first times you have to do it, and I can see it in some of your eyes today, it is the scariest thing, right? Until you really realise people mostly are on your side and want you to do well. They're not looking to you for fail. They don't care if you stumbled over a word once or twice or forgot your train of thought for a minute. They don't care. And I think that's really important to remember that. What was the second question? Has this helped me in my... You're on mute, sorry. That's going to be the words of 2020, you're on mute.
So true. The second question was 2 parts. The first part was about, you know, how Toastmasters help with your leadership journey, professionally, personally. Second part was, in these interesting times, how is leadership, how the skills have changed, have they evolved, are they different?
So, I mean, they absolutely help you in your leadership journey, because one of the main things I do all day, every day is talk, is communicate, right? No, it's I say that. I don't actually have any skills other than talking anymore, I don't think. No, but you're making decisions. You've got to communicate those to people. You've got to, you know, give them reasons why that's the right way we should go, as I said. And some of those decisions won't always be looked at positively by the others. That's the role of the leader. It's to set direction, communicate the direction, and get people to follow. So I think it's an incredibly important skill. In these times, I actually don't think the core leadership skills have changed at all. The only thing is, it is a lot harder. It's easier now, I've got video, but it's a lot harder to read those body language things that you pick up when you're physically interacting as opposed to interacting by video. And the other thing I find hard as a leader, I can talk to my direct reports and maybe their direct reports constantly, and I do big calls, but they're not two-way, you know, you get questions. But I don't get to have those water cooler conversations when I find out what's really happening on the floor, not what my managers tell me what's happening. That is the hardest thing, and how to do that. And so I try to ring 10 people randomly every week. And I also have virtual lunches with the staff now so that I can find out what's really going on, what's really concerning people.
Great advice there. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Lex. Such a useful insight for all of us. I think we see the last point that you mentioned about having those random meetings and lunches. We are probably seeing even Shane starting to do, Shane is doing that, and we hear a lot of leaders adopting that approach. Really, really very valuable for all the employees as well. Lex, we have a lot of questions. How are you doing on time?
Well, I'm happy to wait till the judges come back.
Sure, appreciate that.
I can't
Thank you.
leave without knowing the feedback, right?
Yes, now we have you hooked. Now we have you hooked onto this. Absolutely. So we have a question from Namrata Anchan.
Thank you, Sanjeev. Lex, it's been awesome listening to you so far. My question is, it's a simple question there. I would really like to know, what is your one powerful or probably helpful advice to women leaders in this leadership journey?
It's funny you say that, because I don't know if this week in Australia, at least, they launched the ASX 200 report on women in leadership, actually. And ANZ's unique in that 50% of our executive team is now women. So I feel very privileged to work in an organisation like this. I think there's so many things. And, you know, it's such an important topic to me to see more women come through and to help mentor more women through. Not because it is the right thing. It is just the right thing. No, I mean that. It is just the right thing. But of course it helps with groupthink, risk management, profitability, all those things. But I think for women, I'd love to say that the world is changing and it's all based on merit. We're not quite there yet, right? So you've got to believe in yourself. You've got to step forward for those risky jobs that sometimes we don't step forward for, because you want to tick that you've got 99.9 of the skills that are listed on the job spec before you're prepared to step forward. And you've got to believe in yourself, and then find people who believe in you as well. They always say that, because when you're having doubts, those people who believe in you can put their foot in your back and push you forward when you're not taking that step yourself. So I think having people who believe in you and sponsor and mentor you is really important. And that has to happen organically. You have to get on well with those people, but they exist everywhere.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Lex.
Thanks, Lex. And I think while the question was specific from a perspective for women who aspire to be leaders, I believe there was quite a bit that all of us could take from it, men as well. One more question from...
Yeah, and it's not just women, by the way. Many men are in that situation as well. And many other minority groups, people from minority groups are in a similar situation.
Absolutely. Thanks, Lex. The next question is from Katie.
Hi, Lex. Thank you so much for sharing your aspects of your career with us today. The question that I have for you is, you've done a lot of exciting things, but is there one thing that really stands out as the highlight of your career so far?
I have to say, actually, I'm not sure it's highlight, but it was the biggest growth period for me, was being the CEO of ING in the Czech Republic and Slovakia during the global financial crisis. I learned so much personally there. You know, and I talked about some of them, the themes, because I didn't speak the language, and only the senior managers spoke English. I didn't understand the culture, and we went through the global financial crisis in a company that actually nearly went to the wall. So I really learned about my inner strengths as a professional person there, but also personally, it just opened my mind to a whole different world. I thought I was quite well travelled and well read, but to live in a place like that, learn about the history, really, I think, helped me understand people a lot more. And as a family, we had a really happy time there as well. We made lots of friends and got to travel a lot. I mean, you can drive to Germany on a Saturday morning, right? It's pretty amazing experience just to go shopping. So I think that was something I feel proud of, and I still stay in touch with those people, but also grew a lot.
Fantastic. Thank you.
Thanks so much. And I think we're probably in the last stage of judging. I just got a note, so we should be having the response and the answer soon. Another question.
Must
meanwhile,
be a tough decision back there.
Yes, that's what it looks like.
So many great presentations.
That's exactly what it looks like. That's just what I thought as well. There were 3 wonderful responses that came in. So firstly, just want to check, Heath, you're not back yet, right? Christina, are they back?
Nope, they're still in there counting.
Okay, right. Sorry, in this screen I was not able to see, so my apologies. One more question, meanwhile, from Riti.
Hi, Lex. Thank you so much for sharing your personal experiences and the learnings. I have one more question. It's quite similar about being a woman in leadership position, also being a mom, and how did you manage family and work priorities and still achieve this leadership position that you are at? What were your challenges, and what would your advice be to moms or dads, trying to struggle and juggle and balance work and family?
I always get asked that question, and how did I handle it? Probably not very well for the first 3 years. Many of my close friends still have pictures where I'd be talking to them and just literally fall asleep because, working full time, 2 little kids, my husband worked as well. Like, you're just constantly tired, right? You're constantly tired. And you're always feeling constantly guilty as well. Like, I'm not a very good mother. I'm not very good at work. I'm not a very good partner because, you're just running frantically all the time with not a second to bear. But I mean, as my children say to me now, well, we turned out all right, so it couldn't have been that bad. So that's nice to see. But, one piece of advice to male or female is find a supportive partner. Because it is tough having kids and working full time, right? It is tough. Anyone who tells you it's going to be easy is telling you a lie. It's hard. You don't have much sleep. You're constantly feeling guilty. And if you don't have a supportive partner who's willing to help and share those responsibilities, male or female, it makes it really, really almost impossible. So that's my one word of advice. And, try not to be perfect because you're not going to be perfect. I used to worry about that. Kids, they always lose that one piece of the jigsaw puzzle. I used to be that mother who'd be under the chair at 10 o'clock at night trying to find it. Well, I just decided, just throw the jigsaw out. I couldn't deal with it. So I didn't have the stress.
Wow, thank you so much. That was great.
Amazing. That was definitely a wonderful question, Riti, and Lex, thanks for sharing that. I just want to share from my side that my wife is an essential services worker at ANZ Bank as well, and she has been working through this journey at the going into work every day.
Mm-hmm.
And first, I got a first-hand experience of what it means to be a mom. a working mom in a way. Because I had the responsibility of getting the kids up and ready, one of them being a toddler, getting him ready for daycare, and the other one ready for school. So I have a newfound respect for my wife now. So